Our police forces, they've descended into lawlessness. Perhaps they've always been that way because there's never been a way to hold them accountable until now. Cameras, folks. This thing right here. If they're going to use the excuse if they don't want to get lit on fire, well, don't buy one that lights on fucking fire, dumbass. Let me tell you something. For the cost of Seth Franco's death in Boulder County, a man who lived a very similar life to mine, I didn't find that out till after he was dead. I knew him for a long time. I really did. He was one of the youngsters I was always trying to run off. And he's got a sad story. Just like Matty Boa, just like me, just like Rabbit. Natalie's story is sad, isn't it? It certainly is. So is her sister Alicia. And I get that she's a pretty white girl, but I truly want only the best for her. I want her to be safe, cherished, warm, and loved at all times. I want her to have good, honest, forthright, and righteous people in her life, whether they be men or women. It don't matter. The way that we should be fighting this war would be quite unconventional. The methods that I employed before the whole situation with Natalie, they were not effective. When you guys go back to a lot of these people who spoke up for me on these Facebook groups, they thought that that was speaking out and that would make a difference, but it didn't. It resulted in many of them being threatened and having their families threatened. I always try the peaceful approach. If it involves killing people, count me out. If we can fight this war without killing, that would be absolutely phenomenal. There's three ways to fight a war. Number one is killing. The second way is the way that people think. Sorry, the second way is building, construction. The third way is by the way people think, their religion, their politics. And you can control that by what you feed them. What input do they have? People see their surrounding environment as a reflection of the whole nation. If somebody's in a small town with crooked cops who are doing harmful shit to human beings, that reflects in their minds upon the entire nation. People are the same everywhere. People are the same everywhere. People are the same everywhere. That tends to be how their minds work. And oftentimes, religion is not the defining factor, it's the defining excuse. If we're going to do something horrible to people, we should do it in God's name because then it's justified. How truly disgusting. So the first way, that's killing people. I am not down with that. The last way is by the way people think. And I do think that educating people, if we had more black people in Chapel, Nebraska, I would love, absolutely love to have 1,000 people who are black to come to Chapel, Nebraska. I'm sure there are 1,000 people who are black in America that if they were willing to come here and have a fucking barbecue, my God, this town would change so quick, fast, and in a hurry. That's not me being racist and trying to say that black people like barbecues. That's me saying, shit, it's Chapel, Nebraska. We love barbecue. It's Chapel, Nebraska, dude. It's the middle of fucking nowhere. These people slaughter their own goddamn cows for shit's sake. Yeah, them ribs are good. That's some good grass fed beef, homie. The stuff that they know, they know. A lot of these people that are wheat farmers, they know everything about wheat and the weather and everything in between. The ones who do corn, same thing. Millet, which is bird seed, yeah, all of these people know their jobs. They know them extremely well. They're extremely well educated, is probably the best way to explain it. In the stuff that they know, but they don't know any black people. All the black people they ever see are shooting people on fucking TV. What do they know about black people? They know that the nightly news is full of black people who are out there murdering people. It's also full of white people, but the white people don't stand out in their minds because they've seen white people. They've talked to white people. They live next door to white people. They see white people all the time. A black person sticks out like a sore thumb. A lot of these folks could not tell one black person from another. The skin does not make them look that much different, but I suppose that also comes down to there's actually a lot of poverty here. A lot of people who can't afford glasses, can't afford proper medications. Building. That's, in my personal opinion, the best way for my way of thinking. I want you guys to all imagine all of the autistic people that you know. All right? Give them a set of Legos. Give them a set of Legos and let them build something. If you give them something with the instructions, most of us will pull it out of the package. We'll make what it shows in the instructions, and then we take it apart and turn it into something else entirely. You got a whole shit ton of people who are kind of scared of you guys. I mean, really and truly, we are. We are afraid police will shoot us. We have to be because they shoot us. They shoot us more than they kill black people. Seriously. So, yeah, like, leave us alone and let us build some shit. You give me a toy box and an erector set, I'll show you some goddamn magic. A lot of people, they only think conventionally. They can only think of something that's already there. If it hasn't been built, it can't be made. That's the way that their brains work. Like, are you stupid? You can't put those little retaining walls in there in a classic ship, like a ship of the line or like the Constitution. You can't do that. Yes, you can. They do it on Chinese ships. They do it on Japanese ships. They do it on Korean ships. They do it on all sorts of ships. And of course, we do it today with modern ships. Okay? So it not only can be done, it is done. Watertight compartments and bulkheads. That's what they're called. A bulkhead is to keep shit separated. Whether it be water and water or water that is salt water and fresh water for you to drink, or oxygen for you to breathe and water on the other side. Or you could have the bulkheads in between the compartments inside of the main hull, because the hull itself is a bulkhead. Enough about building. We're going to talk about the other two now. We could build housing for everyone who is homeless in America in a matter of hours, provided there is places to it. Homeless people do all of the building. They just need the place to do it. I tried to save up my money to buy some land so that I could do that. It's because of the way I think. I noticed that when people did horrible things to me, there was always a reason why it was magically okay. And the people that everyone told me, you just got to go to these people, but they ignored me because of the mentally ill tag. Many of them, the moment I opened my mouth about what the police did, because the police were involved and have been involved, people already jumped to the conclusion of some pretty fucked up shit. No, it is really that corrupt here in the United States. You got to change people's way of thinking. That's why it's not okay to kill people. You will make martyrs that way. Yes, if someone killed one of these people, just one of them, down there committing these horrible atrocities to other human beings, it probably would make the world a little bit better place. Sort of, but not really. Here's the thing, if someone were to kill Steinman, then Steinman would not be able to victimize anyone else ever again. But also the news media would make him into a martyr. This poor officer, he leaves behind a this and a that and the other. He might be a father for all we know. God, what a world-class piece of shit he is. I hope he's not raising kids. Holy shit. That is a disgusting excuse for a human being. Same thing with Waylon Lolatai. Now, in order to change people's minds, you have to work together, not in general, but in specific. Imagine how much time people have spent off on parade. That's what it should be called. That is what peaceful protesting it is. It's going on parade. We're showing off our parade floats. That is what it equates to in most people's minds. Oh man, that's a fucking shitty excuse for a parade, or that's a good excuse for a parade, is how people think. Now, to get down on the court level, where the corruption is, where these politicians, business owners have a lot of money invested in it, literally the money that they're investing in it is hours of your life. When people buy and sell stocks to a company and you work for that company, you're the one doing the work. You are the one making or manufacturing their product. You're the one doing it. And they can buy and sell your job like that. I just got to the point where I could snap my fingers without it being in excruciating pain. So I'm pretty excited about being able to do that. Instead of going out on the streets like that and just making a big show for the media, I mean, we obviously know that the media will put its own spin on it. They're not going to find out the truth of the matter. They're just going to tell well, whatever their tabloid seems to think is the most rating worthy from an entertainment standpoint. Now, who are the pretty models that we're going to have up there reading the script? That's what it comes down to. And we're all told all this crap from when we're a young age, about all these things that we should be doing, and we get to be adults and realize it's screwed up. And then you're going to do the same thing that your parents did. You say one thing and do another. You say the same things your parents did, and you do the same things your parents did, but what you say and what you do are not the same. You say you're going to teach your children better, but then your example is, well, it's the example. You want to be revolutionary, yes, but in reality, you're bitchy and compliant. You're going to look the other way as long as it is not happening to you, and that is a terrible way to do it. The way to actually fight this war, and a lot of people don't want to hear it, it is fucking unity. All right? Unity. We got all these racist folks. Let's say the white ones, for example. They're complaining about all this stuff that has already been taken from them and is still being taken from them because of crimes that they did not commit. Being told that it's their fault because of the color of their skin. And they're told basically that it's black people's fault or Hispanic people's fault or immigrants' fault. They're getting fucked over by the same government. They're bitching that everything is expensive because of black people and Mexicans. That's what they're told, so they fucking believe it. Well, they don't make very good decisions then. And then we also teach black people that everything is white people's fault, and Hispanics that everything is white people's fault. That's what we're supposed to teach them. That's what our society teaches them. That's what our movies teach them. The white villain. The white villain descending upon you. A lot of people who are racist or in a racially motivated group for a reason. In the penitentiary, you join one of those racist groups because they will protect you from the other races. Incarceration is a very racist place. It is a very racist situation. It's horrible. That's what the juvenile system is like as well, and I can tell you that from first-hand experience. If we would stop fighting each other, these white people are being screwed by the same government as the black people who are being screwed, the same as the Hispanic people who are being screwed. It's all the same government, and while you're at each other's throats, you are divided and therefore you are conquered. You have lost already because you are at your potential ally's throat. That is what propaganda is. It is what it does. The reason that these guys in power get to continue this charade year after year after year is because they keep you at each other's throats. And the media does nothing to help it. Why is this? Because horrible shit is great for ratings. Look at Gabby Petito. Now what happened to her? Do we know what happened to her, or are we just assuming? See, that's the thing. I wanted to die after what happened to Natalie. I did not kill myself because I was afraid that if I did, what happened to Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie would happen to me. Now, obviously, I had this fear before their situation ever happened, but that is exactly the type of situation I was afraid of. If I kill myself, her predator will get away. At that point in time, we didn't know who it was that killed her. And because I had exposed her father as a pedophile and a wife beater who forced his children to have sex with him and to sell drugs for him at 13 years of age, I exposed him for that. Only 2.5 weeks before she was shot in the head by Joseph Michael Lopez. So obviously, there was a reasonable reason. That's the key word there. There was an easily 80% or better chance that her father had killed Natalie at that point. I knew that I hadn't done it. I also knew that I had exposed him with an email from her. But I wasn't for sure. There was also the possibility of Tim Beeson, who was infatuated with her and stuck on her. And, well, he liked giving her drugs too, and taking her dog, and holding her down and screaming in her face. Is this rocket science? But at the same time, I knew that she was a heroin addict. It could be anyone. You have no idea the situation that these girls continually put themselves in because, hey, he's got heroin. But guess who never had heroin? That's right, me. So those neo Nazis, they need to take examples from history and from the situation around them. I don't tell you my story to just bitch about it. It's number one, because you guys need an education on what the world is really like for us. And also because I need help, not just me, millions of Americans. Now, what the foreign people can do is don't bail us out, don't give us oil, don't give us jack shit. What the American people need to do is say, fuck no, I won't do what you tell me. We need to be able to actually teach our children better. And that starts with you admitting your faults and your sins so you can get that out of the way because that is holding you the fuck back. All of these people that I exposed, I told and showed the truth. They just need to get past their goddamn pride. As soon as you admit the shit that you've done, and if you go back through my videos, you will realize that I have admitted to all of the things that I have done. All of them. But that's something that I started doing before Natalie was killed. I told all of my worst sins on Facebook. All of them. And I haven't stopped admitting my sins. We need to get back to saving lives. The way people think is important. When you say you shouldn't care what other people think, you are dead wrong. What people think determines their actions along with their nerves. Most people are cowards. You younger folks will come to learn this. When you are 18 and gung ho, you know what your fears are, but you pretend they're not there. As you get older, you're going to realize what a coward you really are. But just because you are a coward does not mean that when there are other people that got your back, that you won't perform as required. A lot of these shooters probably had good motivation going and shooting somebody, but they went and shot the wrong people. And I'm outright saying that it's wrong for them to shoot anybody. You know, if I absolutely had to point a BB gun or a pellet gun at another person, if I actually had to do that, I would probably get killed. So, no matter what, it's probably not a good idea for me to do that. Am I incorrect about this? Is this not common sense? I've had a lot of people keep trying to give me guns. Hey man, you should take this, man. Here's 22 for your protection. Like, no, dude. No, I don't want some fucking gun that is going to get me in trouble. Just owning one would get me in trouble. Now, I do have BB guns. I do practice proper gun safety. There's a reason for this. I believe that everyone should know and understand how to operate a firearm in the United States. It is your duty as an American to utilize your Second Amendment to protect your rights against tyranny. And you cannot do that if you don't know what the fuck to do. So, this brings us to, of course, the very first way of fighting wars, that's killing people. I am against it. So, that's why this is going to be a short section. Only fire your guns in self defense. If you are not being shot at, if everyone in the world decided not to fire unless fired upon, there would never, ever be another shot fired around the world. Like, sure, if someone is shooting you, shoot back. Yes, you have a right to defend yourself. You have a right to defend your life. You also have the right to the same tools and implements as those who would wish to kill you. If there are people actively trying to kill you, you should have the right to shoot back. You should also preferably have the ability. Now, you might say that you're a peaceful person, but then when you've got people outside of your house shooting holes through it, and some of them holes come awful close to your wife or your children or your parents, or even through them, you're at that point probably going to think a little bit differently. Let's say grandpa's got a gun, and grandpa Well, he was a Marine. He probably knows how to use that thing and could defend the household indefinitely. However, if you don't know how to use that thing, you are just as likely to harm yourself or your family with it. You need to learn how to at least not kill someone on accident. If someone out there is a dumbass and wants to throw you a weapon in a pinch, which actually does happen in combat, there are a lot. If you grab it and it accidentally goes off, it's going off that way or it's going off towards the ground. It's not going off in your face. If it is going off, you preferably want it going into the ground and not into the air because what goes up must come down. But you are certainly don't want to blow your own head off catching the goddamn thing or not catching it. If you've got it here, it's not blowing a hole in your face. Now, depending on which way you grab it, it might eject a shell into your face. You might have to, you might actually lose the vision in one eye from it because it comes out. But you'll still have the other eye that you'll be able to use as soon as you get it to stop being teared up. Because your eyes will both tear up in a situation like that. Now, when you've got a firearm, you need to understand that it is not a toy. If you don't catch it and it goes off, let's say you're standing and an AR-15 or AK-47 or a modern military combat rifle goes from here. Some of them are real short to about there. PS-90 goes down just a little bit lower than my knee. But I mean, you're talking about things that if they're on the ground when they go off, if they shoot you in the groin, it's going to go through your chest cavity. It's going to hit a lot on the way through. It can hit you in the stomach. It can hit you in the chest. It can hit you in the chin. I mean, everything has the possibility of getting hit. If your first reaction to a firearm is, oh, not only are you not going to catch it, you'll probably get smacked in the face with it before it hits the ground and blows your head off. Congratulations, you got a double whammy. So don't be a dumbass. Don't fuck with guns. But make sure you know what to do in case of stupidity. There has got to be a way to do this without killing people. Now, if that takes 10,000 people with airsoft rifles surrounding Washington, D.C., or even better yet, 10,000 people with bright green, fluorescent, hot pink, toy squirt guns and Nerf guns. Obviously, you'll probably get laughed at a little bit, but people are going to realize, hey, if you are willing to get shot and lay down your life, you are seriously trying to actually do the right thing. If you are willing to give up your life, holding a Nerf rifle or a squirt gun, you are a true soldier. Because you're stating loud and clear, first and foremost, before anything, you are not willing to kill people. You just want them to stop. But what's the most likely outcome of that situation? Dead people carrying squirt guns. That is the most likely outcome for that situation. Plain and simple. That doesn't mean it's not worth an effort. It's important for you to know that the people who have been through the most probably know the most about survival. Many of the people that you hate because of their poverty, you are probably going to be asking for help if shit hits the fan, and it probably should. But we need to find a peaceful resolution to this. We cannot continue to allow the grossly rich to fuck our kids and run our country. Oh, and please, if you could, get 1,000 black people to come to Chapel, Nebraska and have a barbecue so these people realize you're all people. Because, I mean, they really vote in a lot of stupid ways, and the courts are really stupid for a lot of stupid reasons. And as a result, if there was some black folks who are willing to teach these Nebraskans about real hospitality, most of the black folks that have invited me to their house have treated me with greater hospitality than nearly every white person I ever met. The Native Americans up there in Hardin, Montana treated me with more hospitality than any white person I had ever met. They had nothing, and they still treated me wonderfully. It's also BLM and MMIW. We all need to work together. We're all in this together. We're absolutely not going to be able to be dependent upon foreign countries for any of this. Stop being a fucking pussy. How does it feel when I say it to you? I hear that so much. People saying, Schwartz, you need to just stop being a pussy. Really? I'm standing up to the people that you are afraid of. Many of these people who are parents, who are paranoid that the government will do something to them or their children, and if they do something to them, that does do a lot to their children. And none of them stand up. None of them work together like intelligent people would. But also, there's how expensive it is to have a kid. Most of these parents are flat fucking broke. There's necessities and remedies. You got brats. They shit and piss and crap and sniffle and sneeze and wipe their boogers on every goddamn thing. It's expensive. Antibiotics are expensive. Meds are expensive. Diapers are expensive. Wet wipes are expensive. Baby powder. You got to get all of this shit and formula. Oh my God. I used 2 scoops of the baby formula downstairs here for my coffee. It didn't taste very good, first of all. I wouldn't want to take it if I was a baby. But second of all, I felt the need because that's supposed to go to a child. Stealing a child's food is not okay. It turned out that the child by that point was already too old for the baby food, but I didn't know that until I had bought it. So I suppose that thing of baby. Wait, they had another baby. That's right. Problem solved. I don't feel like such a dumbass. Now, those of you in foreign countries, I mean, you could give us your moral support. You could give us some ideas. You could share a lot of your ideas. If you wish, if any of you from foreign countries wish to help out the most destitute people here in the United States, it's something that you can do in a lot of countries actually. Buy land and give it to them. If you give a homeless person an acre, I mean, they've lived behind dumpsters. Homeless people, most of us, have to travel from place to place because police are assholes everywhere. And once they recognize your face from being homeless, it doesn't really matter if you dress nice because they're still going to recognize you. They'll still harass you. If you're there for longer than they think is okay, they will trump up charges on you. So you always are told that you need to move on. When you go through a small town like Chapel, Nebraska, a homeless person going through here, by the time that homeless person gets from town to the other, he's already been blamed for everything that's been lost, stolen, or missing for the last 10 fucking years. Oh, well, he must have stole it. He must have stole it. And the cops pull up on him and, well, basically offer to, well, I don't even have to explain it. I'm fairly certain most of you guys aren't fucking stupid. Move along, son. Move along. We can do a lot more than we are now. Instead of talk about it, do something about it. If you're some rich foreign person who actually wants to help out the homeless, find some reasonably cheap land with access to water, buy it and give it to them. Allow it to be used as a homeless refuge. Now, I designed a castle specifically for the purpose. I planned on getting a few acres before Natalie was killed, and all of my money went to the courts. My disability money, which was supposed to be used to help set me up to have a future where I wouldn't have to live like this and worse. That money had to go to courts and travel and all of the crap that goes with that. Instead of taking care of me, which is what it was supposed to be for. That money the government gave me and took right back. And you guys want to talk about me getting freebies. You know what that money did for me? Nothing. It didn't do anything for me. In the long run, that money didn't do jack shit. I needed people's words. I also recorded their words, so there is that. Look up Roman marching fort. The Romans would build one every night and take it apart every morning. If you put up them palisades, you're good to go. That's what I call a castle. The reason for this is because the next step for the Romans was to take it down. I propose that instead of taking it down, you put food on it. You put all the way around those walls on the top, you put trees. Their large root system will go down through and help to hold everything else together. If you've got a bunch of rocks, more's the better, because if you put them in the dirt, as it grows down with those roots, those rocks will help to keep that tree from falling one direction or another. Also, trace elements on the rocks will help to feed that tree. You do that all the way around, of course. In the ditch around it, that's going to naturally catch water. A lot of the stuff that you're going to want that's going to have a lot of water coming out of it, you want to put in that ditch. If you put blackberries and stuff like that, you've got a food source that is also a protective layer around the exterior of it. You could put inside of it whatever you want, whatever kind of houses. You could put tiny houses there. You could put a tent there. You could just put a tarp over yourself if you wanted to. And also, it's all earth. I mean, you're not building a cement fortification for fighting off invading barbarians. Just a little bit about the elements and a little bit about the wildlife. The reason for that is it's cheap and easy. You're homeless, but if you have your own land that you can grow food on, why not? And if someone actually builds it and shows the example, then people will know it's possible. Just like bulkheads, internal bulkheads to prevent a ship from sinking. A lot of those ships from Asia are extremely well built, despite the fact that they're built out of shitty materials in many cases. And they find those boats floating all over the place all the time. Some of them are literally hundreds of years old that are washing up on the shores of places like Japan and Crimea. Where the hell is Crimea? You should look it up. Some of these things have ridden on currents all the way into the Mediterranean and not sunk. Everybody on board is gone. They've been gone for forever. I mean, who knows how long ago they were washed away? But they just keep floating around until eventually they land somewhere. Someone sees them. From 20,000 feet, you can't tell if a boat's got people on it or not. Some of those boats may have been spotted from the air hundreds of times before they were ever spotted by somebody at sea or before it ever washed ashore. If the HMS, what is it, the HMS Fighting Lady had been built that way, imagine that. Or the Mary Rose, even. Lateral and horizontal bulkheads. It could be done. It could have been done easily. It would have meant a little bit more wood. Some of those woods, believe it or not, it wouldn't have taken much to hold the water out from one bulkhead to another. It wouldn't have added all that much weight, and it would have added a lot of structural stability while still allowing it to flex. Just because nobody bothered to put the two together back then doesn't mean that they couldn't be. And matter of fact, back then, there were people who were crafty enough that they went, you know what? I like these European ships. I like that idea. Let's build some in Japan off of your patterns. Come, you teach us how to make your boats. And we're going to put those internal bulkheads in ours because, well, your boats are nice. They're pretty and they're fast. They got big guns on them. That's all fine and dandy, but you're too easily swamped. And when you swamp, you sink. Building is important. People are always going to tell you that you can't. I get people telling me all the time, you can't do this, you can't do that. Why not? A lot of people are willing to sabotage you just out of sheer spite. If you're the poor dude on the block or the ugly guy on the block, you know, people absolutely hate for you to have anything that they don't, or to even have the same that they have because they don't want to see you as an equal. They'll tell you that you can't do something and then they'll go do it. Although I've given a few of my ideas away to people and they thought it was a good idea, and I gave them permission outright to make them as if it was their idea, because who's to know? And some of those are very cool ideas. The pop-out cot tent. I worked at Cabela's. I told a guy in the product development about it and showed him a picture. I even drew it up for him. Kept that picture for years. Building is obviously my favorite. My favorite way to fight a war, by building. If you're building, you're fighting peacefully. At least for now. If you're building fortifications, what are your fortifications for? I mean, obviously, if you've got a bunch of bamboo growing in the ditch around your, well, it's basically the wall around your encampment with all of your people. A Roman marching fort could be any size. I mean, they made them as small as for 10 men on Hadrian's Wall. Some of these mile forts were only built for two permanent staff. And of course, you've got the people who are traveling up and down the road on top of the wall. I mean, you could literally walk across Hadrian's Wall from one side of Scotland to the other. Well, this way, not this way, of course. Not north south, but east west. You could walk along Hadrian's Wall. But I'm not talking about building stone fortifications. If all you've got is stone, then that's what you should work with. There was a piece of property that when I got my back pay for disability, I could have used that money to buy that property in San Juan County, Colorado. It's a bunch of rocks. That's pretty much all that's there. Another spot there, it is pretty similar. No, the one in San Juan was basically like desert land. It's got a little bit of foliage growing on it, but not much. It's at the base of the mountains, but it's desert region. You got to have access to water or you can't live there. That's one of the rules when you buy the property because they don't want you going there and fucking dying or being a mooch on your neighbors who had to bust their asses to get water put in. The other one was an old, I believe it was a marble quarry, but I'm not for certain. It was uh, not slate, the stuff that breaks basically into shingles. I'm trying to remember the name of it. But that rock there, if you stack it up properly, you can build a pretty big fortification. And if you stack the rocks on the outside correctly with proper angling, you can direct the water just by stacking those rocks in the right way. When it rains, the water will go exactly where you want it to. It'll travel not just on the outside, but also the inside of your walls. And as long as you angle them properly, it'll stay dry on the inside no matter what. I love building so much. I don't know how better to show that you love someone than build them something. If you build them something useful, it shows that you care about their well being. And if you really do care about their well being, you actually should not care if they're grateful or not, or if they acknowledge it or not, or if they even know that you did it. You should not do it for credit, is actually what I'm trying to say in specific about that. When you care about someone, you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and you don't need any other reason than that. If you are going to go kill people, what you got to understand is still have to have a building infrastructure. If you're going to have weapons or armor or anything like that to go do horrible things to other people, you still have to build. So why not, instead of building those war machines, we let the ones that we have run their course, use them for a cool down period. The longer things go with not making parts and not making new ones, the less of a force there's going to be. And if we're spending the money that we got and only using up the stockpiles that we got, as far as the military goes, and we spend our money and our time and our resources and our investments that used to go to slaughtering human beings wholesale for entertainment and cash, how about we help them in their situation more than just a token or a joke? Oh my God, my back hurts. Here in the United States, we can affect that change, but we have to do it together with unity. We need to work together, even with people who hate us. Those examples that I was making about how hateful white people need to work together with black people because they're all getting screwed by the same people. That goes equally for those black people. You need to work together with these other white victims, even if you don't like them. You need to work together with these other black victims, even if you don't like them. You need to work together with these native victims, even if you don't like them. Divided we fall, plain and simple.